Be serious, man. You cannot be serious.
Well, welcome to You Cannot Be Serious on the road again. We'll be on the road probably till vaguely just before Christmas. But before we start, Duck, people absolutely fascinated as to know, are you in Australia or have you gone to Southeast Asia or are you in the Amalfi Coast? Where are you? Because you don't look as though you're in downtown Melbourne by the look of the background.
No, they don't. Sound like you're doing street talk there, Sam. Like you're back in the footy show
Back
days.
in the day. All right.
Yeah.
Well, how would you like me to ask that question?
No. That's
Where are you?
You just be yourself. I am. I've been here, there, and everywhere. I've been, Sydney, in Queensland at the moment, back home in a couple of days. But I've been all over the shop, a bit like you. Sorry, I'm just blown away. Isn't it? We'll get into it because I know you want to break this up.
What were you just blowing away? Did you break wind?
No, a midgie.
Oh, midgie. Yep.
Yeah.
So
yeah.
I presume you're in tropical Queensland?
Yes. Well, I'm in Queensland at the moment. I've been in Sydney, obviously Melbourne Grand Final week, as you know. But I've been sort of here, there, and everywhere. Family's been everywhere. Good friend of yours in his neck of the woods. You were only here not long ago, Sam.
Yes, we did a grand final morning podcast. We meant to live stream it, but we couldn't get it to live stream, but we did it nevertheless.
Yes, but no. So I'm around. I'm not too far away. What about you? You're in South Australia somewhere, is that right?
Yes, we've just left Port Augusta.
Port Augusta.
Yes, Port Augusta is what they normally call it. And
we're up. Why do you have all these nicknames for things like you call AFL women's awful and you call Port Augusta?
That's an acronym, AWFL.
Yeah, I know. But what else do you have?
No, I didn't call Port Augusta. The people said, "Welcome to Port Augusta." I was just going on with the locals.
I know Port Augusta quite well because.
Do you like Port Augusta?
Yes.
What would you say the redeeming feature of Port Augusta is?
How old's Port Augusta from Whyalla? Not far, I don't think. Is it?
And your point?
My point is my brother, my eldest brother, played at Whyalla for a little while for Centrals. So Rabina Bay and Centrals used to play in the grand finals back. Very strong football pedigree, Port Augusta, Whyalla.
So he says it's 300k away.
Oh, okay. So just 3 hours. But
yeah, 3 hours. Yeah, that's if you drive very, very quickly.
Well, that's Melbourne to Albury. So it's a fair drive, you're right. But no, Port Augusta, good footy pedigree, as is Whyalla, all of those areas. A lot of good footballers come out of there, Sam.
Yes,
I can't name any, but I know that there have been some good ones.
Did you tell me what you thought the redeeming feature of Port Augusta was? If you've been there.
Weather, the weather, the beat.
Yeah. I wouldn't say there's a hell of a lot to hang your hat on at Port Augusta.
The people.
The people.
The fishing. You're on the coast, aren't you? Port Augusta's on the coast.
Yeah, hence the name, Port.
Yeah, Port. Yeah, correct. So, you've got great fishing.
Not many ports aren't on the coast, Duck.
That's a very good point. It's very good fishing. Yeah. So, what else have you discovered since you've been there in Port Augusta?
Well, I'll tell you what. Driving to Port Augusta, I've never seen so many wind turbines. There was, I reckon, 200 of them, devastating the landscape. Half of them not working, half of them not spinning. How they think at several $1 million a turbine, how they would think that is going to save the planet and electrify most of the country is beyond me. And when they haven't got wind turbines, they've got most of the landscape covered in solar panels.
Well, this is
So
going to blow you. You know, it's going to blow your mind. I was on a plane. I was on a plane about 4 or 5 days ago, and the person sitting right next to me was flying to Queensland for a big meeting to set up wind farms
yep,
just not far from Airlie Beach. So
that's it.
it has been all set up, and I you wouldn't believe it. I know he was a young gentleman. He was very polite, very
Yep.
well spoken. He was reading a book about that fat, so I figured he was intelligent and obviously well read. And I said, "Well, you wouldn't believe." I said, "I can't wait to tell my podcast brother that I was sitting next to you." I said he blames whales for beaching themselves. He blames bird deaths. He blames ants. He blamed ant deaths. He blamed mosquito deaths. He blamed just about every death on wind turbines.
Did he say? Did you also say that the brother you do the a podcast with said that there's no quantifiable evidence that they save the economy at all as far as lower electricity prices?
I get the feeling that he picked up who I was and he knew who you were and he knew that we'd discussed it. I got that feeling straight away. So I left
Well,
the subject.
he's a young millennial. He's a wokester, and he's into the public snout. He's getting millions and millions of dollars worth of grants to put up these nonsensical wind turbines. Which, if tell you what, if they ever deliver the power that this country needs and save it from slipping off the edge of the world, net zero wise, they've cancelled the ones, they've put them on hold down in Gippsland. There's $8 billion worth of wind farms and turbines just on hold because they've suddenly realised that they're not quite as sensible as everyone thought they were. It's a rort.
Well, like I said, once I knew what he did, and I said I left the topic alone. I didn't want to get into a massive debate, knowing, and like I said, I'm picking up. I think he picked up who the podcast. I think he had a fair idea about your thoughts on it. So I just thought I'll leave this alone. The last thing I need is a kerfuffle on a plane and to go into bat for your beliefs. I'm not disagreeing in terms of what they put out. Not sure about the evidence about the whales. I think that they may kill some birds, but there's some. I'm not, but I'm in agreement with you that there is no. This is what I'm in agreement with, in terms of that, which is why I didn't want to get into a debate with him or you now, and that is I do agree that is not a great power source.
I don't give a fuck about the birds or the whales. I'm interested. Do you think it's going to save the planet and power industry? It is a nonsense. And all it does is put a blight on the landscape, and you drive along and you think, we're driving along the Flinders Ranges and it's beautiful topographical country, and suddenly these things spring out and they're just an eyesore. It'd be all right if they did anything, you'd put up with the eyesore. But they are not. It is not efficient power. And if you think that's going to save net zero by the year 2050, net zero from what? From industry.
Well, you know, we like to go off, and we can go off script a little bit, and not that we've got a script because you don't like a script. We like to go off the cuff. I'm glad you brought up. I'm glad we got onto the wind farms to start with, because I want to quickly talk about, because we're just where I've been and where you've been over the last sort of 3 or 4 months now. Obviously, before the granny, you travelled all around. You're on the road again now. I've been overseas on the run. I've come back. I've travelled a little bit.
Did you say on the run?
Yeah. Well, apparently I was on the run. Remember? Apparently I was running away. I took the kids out of school and ran away. And anyway. So what I do want to talk about, because you've travelled through some of these and you talk about Port Augusta, I want to talk about how many dangerous things. You know, in New Zealand, you can go over there. There's not one dangerous snake. There's not a dangerous spider. There's no dangers at all. You go to Sydney. You go down to Bondi, which is a populated beach. You drown in the rip. You get eaten by a shark, or you get beat up by a dingbat walking along the path. Like the dangers.
Or you can be bitten on the funnel by a fingerweb spider.
Yeah, funnel. Yes, correct. The old funnel web spider, the Sydney funnel web, which is the most venomous out of all the spiders, as you well know, Sam.
That was a joke,
And
that.
I
Bitten on the
know, I know that.
funnel.
But you come up here, you get to Queensland, and you've got oh, not midgies, they're not dangerous, and mozzies and all that. They're just
Thing
annoying.
is,
But then you've got the stingers. You got the box jellyfish. What's that little one called? The little one that's the most dangerous, about that big, the jellyfish. It's
no,
tiny.
yeah,
Well, in South Australia, you have the blue-ringed
bull
octopus.
sharks and
Yeah, but if you go down to the little rock pools, if in Port Augusta, you probably and don't pick up the little beautiful little octopus which got blue little rings on it. It'll
oh
kill
yeah,
you
the
within
blue, yeah, the
yeah,
blue
it'll
ringed
kill you within
octopus.
2 seconds. And there's a jellyfish about the same size as that blue-ringed octopus that is every bit as dangerous as that.
Hmm.
And if it bites you up here, if you're in Queensland, you're just about brown bread. So you, we've
Well, that's
got
the beauty of it. It keeps you on your
every,
toes in the outback
just
Australia.
everywhere we go, there's just danger, danger, danger.
Yeah. The most prevalent danger coming from the people who live in the outback or live in the country. This is humans, hence
Yes.
the
Oh well.
machete bins.
Well. Well. No, I disagree. We're not. We're dangerous to one another because only the dingbats.
Oh yeah, no, things law and order is going beautifully down in Melbourne at the minute. Hardly any problems down there at all.
Actually, I'm sure you will know. Where was the? I think that might be South Australia where you are, where a young boy, a little girl, was recently
Yes.
taken,
Yep.
um,
Yep.
and still hasn't been found. I'm led to believe. I think Jess
I'm
was talking
tipping.
about that the other
I'm
day.
I'm tipping duck if they can't find Desi, what's his name? Desi Freeman. If they
Yeah.
can't find him with the resources at their disposal, with the drones, the heat-seeking apparatus they've got, the army, the helicopters, the dogs. If they can't find him, I got a feeling they got little chance of finding that poor child that's missing.
Actually, that's what I wanted to, and once again digressing. But this is the like you remember the day, Sam, given that you're about to have your 80th. Um, Jess and I a few years ago are going to have our 80th, but combined, both ages. So,
Yeah.
no, but I was talking to Jess's mum. Back in the day, Sam, where you could go outside, you could leave your doors unlocked, you could play,
Yes.
the kids could go running around. You swim in the river, you swim in the ocean by yourself. You like all of the and now, like you said, the crime, etc., etc. By the way, the resort that we're staying in, a little girl had to have CPR done on her the other day. She fell into the pool. Lucky her parents were there and got there. She was able to be revived. But just oh, geez, I mean, the times, and I know we don't like to say it was safer back in our day and it was this and that, but, we slap down. The kids, they got midgie cream, they got sunscreen, they got all of this stuff you got to do to them. Yet when you were a kid, did you ever wear sunscreen?
Never.
Never?
In fact, there's a lot of data out to say that it's absolutely useless.
Oh, there's some that say it's very dangerous for you, that it's actually got
Yes, there you are.
stuff in it that might actually be bad for you long term.
Carcinogenic. You can't rely on anyone these days.
I think there's, I think we look at a lot of different things rather than just look at genetics. And unfortunately, you're 80 and look the way you do because of your mum and dad and their mum and dad and their mum and dad and on and on and on. But somehow you got good genetics, and that's why. Don't worry about the facelift or the turkey hair or all of that. You just have good genetics. And Sue has good genetics. Some would say I've got just a little bit of good genetics.
Oh
I've got
no, you're right up to the sharp end
got
of
a lot of
genetics.
got a lot of bad genetics.
You're in immense shape. You're just fantastic.
What?
You mentioned the fact that in days gone by you could go out and leave your door open, and I would suggest you could leave your door open if they didn't live next to you.
while we're on what if you oh why is that? I let to the guy that's been run over and punched in the face. Did you reckon at his door by an ex and an ex and an ex? So don't you talk about leaving the door open?
I was talking about people pilfering things, Duck. You've
Oh,
been known
okay.
as, yeah,
I've
just as a
never
joke.
knocked.
That was a joke.
I have knocked off the odd packet of chewy or the
I
packet
know.
of chips.
I know. You keep mentioning this. You've knocked off plenty of things. That's why I mentioned it.
Yeah, well, oh,
Yeah,
you gotta, you know,
of course.
and then you learn, and then you get, you well
You
back
gain
then
wisdom, and you gain
you're
wisdom,
allowed
and
to,
you think, no, I've got to stop doing this. Of
well, you're
course,
allowed to. Do you
yes.
believe in? So while we're so you do the wrong thing, so you catch Carter or Charlotte or Ella or one of your kids or you're like Cole. He's probably a bit young at nearly 9 months to be knocking anything off just yet, but if like you probably got a smack on the bum when you're little, Sam. I got a punch in the head, and I'm not condoning violence against your children, obviously, but I'm just saying back in my day, if we did something, we didn't get a smack on the arse. We actually got a punch in the head, which is, I tell you why, so we only did it once. We never ever did it again. And
No,
I don't know
you
how
wouldn't
many
want a
times
fully grown person punching you in the head too often if you're a
no,
child.
well, maybe that's why it turned out the way I did. But I've got, you've got Carter running around at a little water park, and I've told him 20 times to stop running on around the pool.
Yeah.
Now, I say this often, and I've told him 20 times. Do you think he's listened? Now, if that was me and that was my old man, I would have got a punch in the head, and guess what? I wouldn't have run around the pool again.
So you would have kneecapped him.
Hey, no, and I don't condone. I actually don't condone smacking, but there's got to be some other way that rather than tell them 50 times. Well, you can't pull them out of the pool either because it's 40-degree heat. So anyway, I don't know.
Now, so that's a bit of a segue into the fact that how there's a competition going on to see who can be, honestly, to see who can be the most the who can be the most virtue signalling group in town. I notice they're on to Bailey Smith and Geelong for daring to dress up. I was asked by Sky News when they said Geelong were going to reprimand them and ban dressing up or doing whatever or going to Mad Monday parties. They wouldn't put me on. I got a feeling because they thought I might actually tell them a few home truths about the woke society we live in. But could you believe that the AFL were asked about it, and this is after they gave that disgraceful dressing down to the Greater West Sydney last year, and they said, no, this is no, we're jumping off this now. This is up to the clubs. This is after they made a nice goose of themselves last year. What is wrong with people going in a private room or privately getting together, dressing up as their heroes or their anti-heroes, having a bit of fun? Who are the precious people who ping you for doing anything that might be considered embarrassing to the person they're dressing up about?
Well, I'll
Who
tell you.
is immune from having the piss taken out of them?
You should. Well, no one is, and it's apparently so. I've been told that no one's immune to criticism or being in the paper if you've made a mistake in your life, because certainly that's what I get told by people every time they want to ride rhubarb. But I'll tell you why the difference between this time and last time, because of a man called Greg Swan. And Greg Swan has come out, Sam, and said straight away, he said, well, that is the difference of me being in charge. This will no longer go to the AFL. We will let the clubs handle it. And they have let the clubs handle it. And I bet you Geelong, what Geelong will do about it? Absolutely nothing. Because you know what they've done wrong? Absolutely nothing. And I tell you who wrote the article, and it's no, Caro wrote an article, and she said that it upset her kids to see what they did. Once again, she said it upset their kids. So I put out a tweet, and I wrote, so Caro, make up things about others of which which hurt their family members without repercussions. So she's written many, 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 many things about many, 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 many people. In actual fact, it wasn't all that long ago where she wrote something about Tex Walker and said that Wanganeen Millerer didn't want to go to the club because of Tex and what had occurred a few years ago. And his kids actually had to go to school and cop it. Now they are children. Caro's kids are grown-up adults. So Tex Walker's kids come home crying. So then I wrote, there's no repercussions for her making that up. There's no repercussions for her making other stuff up, or any other journo for that matter. And then I wrote, what's good for the goose is good for the gander. So if you want to write and make things up about others, then don't whinge when something gets done about you, and take it as a compliment. It means you have some sort of relevance.
It means you've got no relevance whatsoever. They're honestly, they're insignificant, and they're insignificant people and irrelevant people who live vicariously through the people they have a ping at. When I was in the business, we had people like Susie O'Brien and bloody Caroline Wilson and Chrissy Swan. I went in to do the great bloody Chris Swan, sitting like a sloth in at the radio station, had a crack at me for coming in to do an interview. They live vicariously through the people they have a crack at. They're disenchanted people. They speak to their own little insular bubble. The rank and file think they're dills, honestly, and they just make they have no credibility whatsoever, because most of the stuff they write is wrong, and a lot of it is absolutely inaccurate, and they get away with it.
Can I just answer? Can I
Alice
just answer
Costa, Chrissy Swan,
a couple of the people. So I wrote. So like I said, I put a tweet out. I don't tweet a lot, Sam, but I put that out because I just felt, enough's enough. You can't talk about, these people can't talk about other people and make shit up and continue to lie and do whatever they want without consequences or repercussions for themselves, right? And then when they, like I said, then something happens to them and then they cry in their pretzels like something, terrible has happened to them. I just want to say, because I did have a few people that asked me the question, oh, well, you've certainly hurt families and you've certainly made some mistakes. Guess what, people? All those people out there that wrote that, I did have repercussions. I left my footy club. I lost friendships. Things happened. I think I probably was punished more than any other person for doing something of that sort in the history of Australian sport. So when they say, have I copped my repercussions? The example there, I'm not hypocritical, because I cop it sweet. I cop it on the chin. I move on. These people that write it and get away with it, and then when it happens their way, they whinge about it. That's what we're not happy about. And I assume you concur, which is what we're here getting angry about. Not getting angry, just getting frustrated.
I've gained an army of friends from taking the piss out of people that you've just mentioned. We first of all take the piss out of ourselves. We talk. We're not we're self-deprecating. We take the piss out of ourselves, and we think anyone else is fair game. I tell you what, it is pathetic to say that people can't. Where do you draw the line? Could you put a fat suit on and walk around and pretend you're someone who's fat? Could you dress up as Madonna or could you dress up as a woman? If anyone was going to have the piss taken out of him, Caroline Wilson would be number one that you'd have a crack at for her glib, pompous, arrogant posture that she portrays.
If you are a public person and you get paid to be a public person and have strong opinions about others, my understanding is what you're open slather, because I've certainly been open slather.
Parody and satire.
As have you been open slather. So stop whinging and get on with it, and stop putting things back. Stop putting things back to your family, saying, you know what? If your kids are grown up, then they should know how to handle it. When you've got young kids, it's very different, especially when you're making up lies.
Well done, Duck. Yeah, isn't it amazing that most of them are women that have a go at you that just think it's so that this contrived offence at what people do on a daily basis in the name of revelry and merriment and a bit of satire and a bit of parody. It is cringeworthy, but these people hold down a job because they probably fill a quota.
Well, we've said it before, Sam. We don't have to name names. The ones that generally throw the stones are those who have more things to hide than those who they're throwing the stones at.
Now, I want to ask you this, Duck. Just when you thought it couldn't get any worse in Victoria with successive governments, the Andrews one and then been taken over by the Allen one, the only ray of sunshine, the only glimmer of joy we had was possibly snaring a grand final in the AFL. But no, Brisbane came down and took it from us. And then we thought, oh, well, then we'll double up, we'll win the NRL grand final, the Storm will take... And what happened? Brisbane came down and took it back again. How low can we get as far as our enjoyment level goes?
Well, you know what, Sam? Let's cut this in. Let's get on to the NRL grand final. Let's cut this and we'll get into some sport. NRL grand final, all the trade news, players jumping ship,
Right.
contracts, all of that sort of stuff. Are you happy?
I'll tell you what we're going to do, Doug. We're going to just close this off because we're going to do two 30-minute segments because we download them and it's much easier to download two 30-minute segments, and we'll come back and I've got plenty of things to ask you and you better have some answers.
Beautiful.
What?
I will have some answers and looking forward. Geez, the NRL, dare I say it, it was a better spectacle than the AFL.
Except for we've got another crowd of people in. We've got Auntie Joy and Uncle Arthur or whatever his name, and we had a new one in. There's a whole crew of people ready to step in to ruin the start of any sporting event by absolute dribble.
Uncle
It
Arthur's
was
a
Auntie
comedian.
someone else.
Uncle Arthur's a comedian.
Oh,
Uncle Arthur's a comedian that takes, he's Uncle Arthur,
that's how appropriate, because that's what they're doing at the start of sporting events.
All right. Well, do you want to go to a break?
Yes.
All right. Hooroo.